Alrighty, welcome to the Thursday market recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and a bit of digestion, I would say, overall for the major indices today. When we came in this morning, futures were bid up nicely, up about 15, 20 basis points, and small caps were up a little bit more than that. Oil was up in the morning, copper was up, but things kind of settled in here a bit, and we didn't break down by any means and anything like that. What I was watching was the 1 hour value area to see if we would come all the way in. We found a little bit of support, I would say, on these candles in the S&P. I thought we might head down to 2370, but it looks like we're holding this gap up from yesterday, which I wouldn't say a gap up, but we're holding the move up post Fed. And again, we kind of recovered, we kind of sat in here. So nothing really to really, that's startling. Same thing with NASDAQ. We kind of came in and touched these hour bars just briefly and bounced. So it looks like there was a little bit of support. Look at IWM as well. IWM was a little bit stronger. We hit that VPOC yesterday on the hourly bar and that purple line, but we're right now back in the middle of value area. So, hopefully we'll see this kind of continue to move up. What I'm watching is a lot of the MACDs right now, see if they kind of cross over the MACD indicator, which is really nice to look for swing changes. And just a bunch of different areas to kind of highlight this morning. We'll start with, what do we want to start with? I guess the outperformers of the day, home builders, which we've talked about several times now. There was some home data out, but man, these things are really strong right now. And the trend is your friend right now. So I think they're out there. I believe it's multi-year highs right now that's taking place in the home builders. Here's the breakout right here, and these things are strong. So all I could say is kind of stay with them. I think we talked a little bit about it in last night's video as well. It's like almost every day I've been mentioning just the strength in the home builders and what's going on here. Again, you look at this wasn't completely unpredictable or surprise. Because if you look at the open interest, sorry, I feel like it's been a long day, even though today was kind of quiet. Sometimes the quiet days are more tiring than anything else. But if you go out and look at the January calls, you can see, look at all the open interest. And I know I've highlighted this before, but there's 105,000 contracts out on the ITB 35s out in January. So those were bought aggressively a couple months back, and they knew what they were doing. So large positions still out there, and looks really nice. So other performers, outperformers, that was the best today. That was up 1.9%. Look at solar making a little bit of a comeback here. You can look at, kind of almost came up and tested the 200-day moving average. This is not adjusted for dividends, but if you look at CSIQ, probably the leader in the space, had a real nice day today, up 2.5%. A little bit faded there on the top of value. So great that it's back over the 200-day moving average. I would watch 1456 in CSIQ. That one's on my watch list. I don't have a position in this one. I think I did give this a try a couple weeks ago, and it failed at the 200-day moving average. So what's nice about this, sometimes when names fail at the 200-day moving average, you could always go right back in. If you're disciplined, I try to be as disciplined as possible. Try is the right thing, is the right word, because it is difficult. But I went into this trade above the 200-day moving average. It broke below. I got out of it, and I haven't gone back into it yet. I kind of wanted to see where it was going to end on the day. Banks also came back a little bit. Then the Chinese internets. KWEB is the ETF. This continues to come all the way back to where we were back in October. Really nice performance. It seems like every other day we're seeing a call buyer in one of these China internets. Last week it was YY. Today it was WB, Weibo, which moving nicely here. So it seems like I said, every other day we're seeing a different call buyer in one of these China internet names. The banks came back a little bit today. I think Jim Cramer said yesterday that the banks were weak. Mentioned that the banks were weak yesterday on the less interest rate expectations than a lot of people had going into the meeting. So those sold off yesterday, but could be just a temporary setback as they bounce back nicely today. What else? We talked about small caps. Just a couple other names that I'm watching. We can go over a little bit of unusual option activity today or aggressive call buying. Also, I would say the story of the day is look at what's happening here in emerging markets. So one thing that I notice is a nice MACD crossover. First one that we've seen here. We've been one by one. We're starting to see, just like if you look at the SPY, this hasn't worked its way through this bearish crossover yet. It seems like all of these MACDs are kind of curling up, and some of them are firing off crossovers. So EEM is one, and we saw a big April call buyer today, 160,000. Not all of them went up aggressively, but a good block of them did. So 162,000 contracts. Also, the 40 strike were also busy, and then FXI, which is a good portion of the Hang Seng shares are a good portion of the EEM ETF, but very similar looking chart in this one as well. This one just broke out kind of a doji on this gap up here. We'll see if this is going to be a gap and go here, but take a look at this as well. On my indicator, my Raptor indicator, seeing a buy signal right now. Last time we saw the buy signal here was a nice move up. So we're seeing another buy signal here. And same thing, MACD crossover, just like EEM. So, these things, while it's sometimes you feel, I missed the move up in these things, the MACD crossover just happened today. So, I think it could be early for these moves. If you kind of scale out a little bit, you could see that this was once a $52 ETF, now at $40, and just moving above this. If you look at the sideways range, you're like, oh wow, such a big move. It's not that far off the 200-day moving average, so could be a lot of upside to go here. So that's a couple of the themes that I saw today. So in some individual names, was a little bit of a excuse me, of a potpourri in terms of option activity today. INFY, I have to check to see what the open interest does tomorrow, because we saw a lot of INFY. This is an India ADR that the India names, also to kind of stick with the emerging market theme, have really been outperforming as well. I actually made a note of this, and I sent this out about a week ago. That the INFY Infosys looks like it was charging towards the 200-day moving average, so it got it today. It didn't finish on the highs, so we'll have to watch tomorrow to see if they're actually increasing their exposure out in April or actually just taking it down on a nice rally. But I would watch this name on the 200-day moving average. The name that I entered into yesterday was another name in the space, which is IBN, which is a much smaller price. So I went into cash in this one. Nice move up. The ATR in this one is about I think it's 18 cents, I want to say, going from memory. So it isn't a big day-to-day mover. It's not that volatile of a name. So keep that in mind when you're structuring your positions. What the volatility, how much it moves in a day. So that is one that I entered into yesterday. There was a nice TS call buyer today. This is another steel name. A lot of these charts kind of look the same, bouncing off the 200-day moving average. You're also seeing just got a MACD crossover today as well. Finished up a little bit. It wasn't a high flyer. Just the materials names that were up so much yesterday. Materials, mining names, steel names. Some of them went up a little bit. Some of them kind of came down a little bit after the big move yesterday, and that's kind of the case. I know I said this in the trading room yesterday, is that you just have to kind of watch it on these Fed days. Sometimes when the market rallies after these Fed days, like everybody starts buying like crazy. You see a lot of option activity. And you normally get another opportunity to sometimes buy cheaper than what everybody bought on that Fed day. It gets just too exuberant. I mean, you could see the amount of activity on Twitter with everybody going, "Oh my God, everything's rallying." You got to have to fight off that exuberance a little bit. I've just seen it time and time again when people start to get real excited because the market's up that day. You usually want to be selling that day and then kind of digest for a couple days and then kind of pick your spots. That's usually how the pros do it. These retail guys that are on Twitter, who are jumping up and down because calls were bought. Keep in mind how long some of this, how short dated and how long some of the bets are. But try to stay. Don't try to get too ahead of your skis, like we said yesterday, because here's a good example. Like today's price action was lackluster and a little bit, I would say, lethargic, and which is normal. Again, markets just don't go straight up. So I try to kind of share some of my wisdom every day. A couple other orders just to highlight was we saw a little bit of Alcoa buying today. This SFM, I actually caught this thing. I only bought like a 12 lot in this thing. So sometimes with these lottos, if I try something like this, but nevertheless, I got in for 12 cents and I got out for $1 today. I actually rolled a little bit into June as they kept on coming in. I've seen option activity in this name before, and it seems to go. So they kept buying. They kept buying the April 20s. That was the first order, and then they kept on buying little by little, like 500 contracts at a time. The Sprouts Farmers June 22 and a half call. So I actually took my little profits from my 12 lot and rolled them into just a few of the June, but very speculative when something like that. I'm messing with the house's money, so I don't mind. We also saw at the same time some speculative activity. This one's really short dated. This was Ions, one of the biotech names, just calls for tomorrow. So really spec. I didn't take that because just too much money, too much premium for something that expires tomorrow. However, it was aggressive. What else do we see? Some YPF. Last 2 days, we've been seeing calls being bought in this one. Again, pretty short-dated stuff. We saw a little bit of call buying in Red Hat, a little bit of call buying in Lowe's, repeat call buyer in Weatherford, WFT. Oh, the casino names. There was a rumor about Win today, so that shot up like a rocket this morning as well. A little bit of call buying going up in Win. Also, the last couple of days, there's been some call buying in MGM, but the chatter today was about Win in Las Vegas Sands. So as you can see, sometimes these names that go up on rumors come right back down. If you were able to scalp a little bit on that one, good job. Another big block of Micron. It seems like whenever Micron is down a little bit, the calls get bought. And not too much to highlight on the put side. There was like I said, the first hour of the day where there was some sellers in there, and there was a little bit of put buying in Autodesk, Corvo, LB. There was a decent amount of AMD puts also bought, short dated April. What else? We got Rent-A-Center puts, MNK puts, and then also we talked about EM and FXI. There was the Swiss franc ETF that saw a little bit of call action as well, and some little bit of gold buying as well, GIA and GLD. So that's today's video. Thanks for watching, and have a great night. See you in the trading room on Friday morning.